Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together I use them. You know what? Gotta fi- I used to have a much better pattern for this opening. Feel like I've developed a hiccup in the middle. It's like a professional golfer. They've got a great swing. They just in the middle. Sometimes they develop a hiccup and everything goes wrong for a few weeks. That's how I'm feeling the last couple of openings, cold openings. Center it. I used to. I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, together with input from you in the live chat room and my own big brain uh, and an electronic die roller, which you'll get to see on screen. How's everyone doing so far? We having fun? Good. So we use all that together to create randomly generated drawing prompts. A who, a creature, a Dungeons and Dragons a creature usually, and a what, a situation or an occupation or something. And I smash those together, and then I draw that as a cartoon for you to watch while we're having fun. And I invite you to draw along with me. Now, you don't have to draw the same thing I'm drawing. You're, of course, invited to, but you can draw anything you want. The main thing is, I am promoting the very strange idea that drawing is fun. It's not that strange. Drawing is fun. That's what this is all about. It's about getting back to doing it just for the heck of it. And of course, I say that, I understand that when I say that as someone who does professional cartooning, as a professional cartoonist, yeah, drawings may be a little more fun for me. It's also work, too. So, but this doesn't feel like work. Why? Because it's fun. So, there we go. That's my explanation, and I'm going to hope my explanation is clearer and smoother for next week's episode. But I'm not going to get hung up on it. We're here to have fun, so I'm just going to roll with it. Hello, Michael. Quack, quack, quack. Yeah. I used to do, when I was younger, a dead on perfect Donald Duck impression. Um, but it's now just a pretty good one. And I say it's in moments it still sounds really good, but I used to be able to just speak and say anything in that impression, and now uh, because of my orthodonture work when I was a teen, the straightening of my teeth adjusted it so that my Donald Duck was not quite as smooth as it had been. So for good teeth, I gave up a career as a Donald Duck impersonator. Good trade, really. Anyway, having said all that, hope everyone's doing fine today. The weather had been super gorgeous here. It's now fallen back just to normal gorgeous. We're having what is a typically very nice spring day here in the Pacific Northwest. The sun is out. It's about the temperature's in the mid 60s. Earlier this week, though, the temperature was in the 70s and 80s, even up close to the 90s, a little more summery. And so, right now, this shift makes it feel a little chilly. But the truth of the matter is, this is what spring in the Pacific Northwest is generally like, and it's a beautiful day. I'm enjoying it. I keep looking up because my desk here, I've got a window with the shades mostly drawn in front of me, and in case you ever hear dogs barking, or as the weather gets nicer, you will begin to hear kids screaming and shouting, running around. It's because there's a dog park right out on the other side of my window. But it does give me a nice view on sunny days. Michael says I used to do a good Mogwai impression. Oh, good. I never could quite get the Mogwai. Anyway, shall we shall we move it along? Shall we go on to uh, the show itself, the show proper? Move out of the intro and into the tro. That's not how that works. English. I'm going to switch the view here so you can see what's going on my iPad. That's what I use. I have an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. These are the tools I use to do my professional cartooning. These are the tools I use to do random encounters, and none of them are sponsors of the show. I get no kickback at all for saying that. I just say that because folks want to know, and so I tell them. So here we go. These are our encounter tables for the week. Let's go over to the die roller and get our first pairing and start doing some drawing. So we're going to roll the dice up a bit, and we're going to get a 6 and a 5. 6 and a 5. So 6 on the white die is an elemental, and 5 on the black die is Barfly. So got an elemental Barfly. So come here and turn off the tables. Turn on, I like to do my sketching in blue. So we're on the right pen, we're on the right color, we're on the right layer. So we got an elemental Barfly. I didn't quite know, when I wrote Barfly on the table there, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted something like having a drink at the bar as the thing, but I needed it to be short and concise, so I picked Barfly as the descriptor. But I don't know in the end that that's the best descriptor. Okay, so we're going to come here. We have a bar like this. That could work if we just want to show someone sitting here at the bar. Now, on the other hand, we don't have to have that L in the bar shape. We could, let me clear that out, because that will be easy enough to redo. Could just have a bar like this and a stool for someone to sit at, and a bartender here, and someone sitting on the stool here. And if I do it like this is looking like a fire elemental right now. Could also have a water elemental behind the bar. Question might be what the elementals would be saying to each other. This is one fine night at the elemental bar. Putting a lot of details, more details than I usually put into one of these. I don't know why, but right now I am. So the question is, I'm thinking among the things we might say is the fire elemental might say, "Give me a shot of fireball." What do you have against water? Scotch on the rocks. It's got an earth elemental. If we change that fire, I like the on the rocks joke. That's a good one. So if we have here, let's switch that up. Elementals are usually, I get them as some kind of mostly amorphous shaped creatures made up of a single element. Now it could be. I'm taking this line because I like the Scotch on the rocks um, as a joke. But I'm wondering if we could have it so the bartender, the elemental bartender, is holding a Scotch bottle and he's saying, "Now, when you say on the rocks, did you mean?" I kind of personally I like that as a good combination of your joke and my joke. All right, that seems good here. I don't talk about it, how we come up with jokes and how we work with them. But uh, this whole process is the first. Uh, we are going through the first step of coming up with gag jokes. Right? It's coming up with an idea and playing around with it a little, and then the second step is refining it. And that's the stuff we don't do as much here because it takes a while, and you play around with things, and then you have to let them sit for a while before you find out what's really working and what's not. Okay, let's shrink that down just a little so it can have some more room on either side and above to put some text. But now I think we're ready to do some drawing. See, Michael's still playing with it. So you could have the elemental say "Scotch, please," and the bartender says "On the rocks," I presume. That's a good bounce back on that. I think I like that best of all. Okay, let's start drawing here. Now, as we can see, they're amorphous creatures, but I've given the earth elemental some sod, some lawn on top of its head, so that it looks different from, say, a golem or a some other uh, necessarily rock creature. Gonna give him some grass on his shoulder too. Kind of everywhere there's a flat area. I'm gonna give a little bit of that. I think those are the only two that we're gonna wind up having, but go. And let's see, what do we want? We want to have the bar come across like that. Another stool here. And then the water element, we'll try and get a feeling of a wave coming under here. While the earth elemental's got dirt and Fine things. The water elemental has splishes and splashes on the side. I think this is a pretty funny gag. Uh, again, relatively speaking, for us coming up with it in 3.5 minutes, this is pretty good. There's a lot. There's a lot to work with here. A lot to like and a lot to work with. Okay, let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we've got. I had originally thought I was going to try to work some of the uh, bottles in the background on the shelf into this, but if we're going to have text here, there's now definitely no longer any room for that. All right, so have our Earth Elemental saying, "Scotch, please." Like so. I'm using the part of the program that lets me get a regular oval shape without trying very hard. I'm just going to make a small change to what you've written there, Michael, and say, instead of, I presume, just say on this. Do you want the bartender to seem part of these things? You want the bartender to seem like he knows what's going on. He's making the right call ahead of time. So say on the rocks, right? And then we're going to switch to our colors layer and pull up the gloaming brush, which would I like to use, give that crayony, markery effect. And we will start with dirt brown. Sort of where we're going here. Now here's a definitely a case where I want to try to identify shapes within the shape to help give this guy more text, more texture. I suppose one of these days maybe I ought to in particular start with having drawn a bunch of line drawings and then walk through what I'm seeing when I'm grabbing the shapes within the shape, because I know that the way I've explained it and how often I've explained it, those of you who watch often and anyone who watches long enough will understand what I'm talking about. But there's a difference between understanding it conceptually and then And even seeing what I'm doing and then understanding why I'm doing it and seeing what I'm seeing when I make these decisions. Like there, both of these, I don't think there needs to be a secondary shape within the grassy part. Uh, what color? What blue? Start with this color blue. You want a darker blue for his eyelids, and an even darker blue for his eyeballs. And use that same one for the inside of his mouth. Okay. And then we can come here for a more orangey brown for the Scotch bottle. The Scotch bottle green. Scotch. We'll go with the brown. And another version of tan for the bar. Like so. Maybe maroon for the bar stools. Blue gray. Down there, maybe a golden yellow for the bar rail. There we go. That's a good Mike saying yes, I should do that, but for a future show. Yeah, no, not tonight, not tonight. But that might make an interesting um, that might make an interesting show special, and maybe a drawing special. I was talking either last week or in my other show about the fact that I'm considering doing some uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Drawing tutorial style uh, videos. That I think is something that would make a good tutorial. After part of it could be teaching the color within a color quick drawing method as one of the videos could be just the basic concept, and then another one could be diving deeper into it and saying, how do you do that? What do you see? What are you looking for? But you guys tune in here and get it for free. Such a deal, I tell you, such a deal. All right, we're going to go for a different version of this blue for his shading. I don't know if it's because the lines are kind of thin. Those colors are still feeling a little stronger than I want it to be. So I'm going to pull it back a good 15-20%. That looks better. But there we go. We've got ourselves an elemental Barfly coming in saying, Scotch, please. On the rocks, right? And grab my inking brush again and come down in the corner and put a little sand on it because I think we've done that to the best of our 30-minute ability. I could do a YouTube short on. Yeah, that's what I mean. Do little YouTube tutorial videos. Yeah, see, Michael, you right. What you're going through here, that's the kind of thing that I do all the time, where I have an idea and then I play around. What if it's like this? What if it's like that? Your your possible reinterpretation of this, where the elemental comes in and says Scotch, neat, and then the water elemental says what? Not on the rocks. Uh, um, I think that would work better as part of a audio skit. Now, there's the other thing you kind of play around with, and you'll often see me blathering about this too, is thinking this version of it is good if you're going to do it in this format. Right? What you've got there, that feels like part of a conversation that then is going to go on to have a follow up. Um, but it doesn't feel like it's ending the conversation. Right? It feels like it's setting up something to come next. What we've got right here with the on the rocks, right? Even though they both are questions, this one feels like that's the punchline, right? The water has said the punchline. Bam. Yours, the water is saying, "Whoa!" Opening a question. Why not this other thing? Which again is a great way to leave that as an opening into a multi-panel comic, a multi or maybe not a comic strip, but like a full page comic story, 1 or 2 page comic story, or a skit, a comedy skit. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay. Boop 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 boop. Elemental Barfly, our first drawing of the evening. Done. Get that little sip there. Just pause. See, we've got a few people watching us in silent mode. Hello, silent mode people. Just want to let you know I'm glad you're there. You can step up and chat with us if you'd like, but don't feel any pressure to. I will reset this. Turn off round 1, turn on round 2, turn on the sketch, the encounter tables one more time. Have another little sippy poo. We started with an elemental barfly. Let's see what the dice say for drawing number 2. Come on over to the dice and roll again. See what we got. What do we get? We get a 10 and a 3. Now, 10 is, as our high number, of course, is going to be adventurer. But 3 is draw. Oh, really? So weird when it does. So I had dropping their phone one time on the show previously on the what channel, and it got rolled. And the thing it got rolled with was adventurer. It's somewhere in my files here, I've got a drawing. It had a a halfling uh, rogue, kind of in that typical black uh, infiltrator suit, and kind of walking along with the a cell phone that was bumbling, bouncing, boop 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 boop, boop between hands. I remember that clearly because it turned out. I thought it turned out very well. The the halfling had a very uh, European uh, and comic style, kind of like it was drawn for Asterix or the Smurfs. I somehow inadvertently captured that look, so it stuck in my head. So I find it funny that here I put them both on a list, and an even longer list. Those were back in the when I was still doing only 6 choices on either side. Um, and yeah, it was a good drawing. I like that one a lot. You know what? Here, let me switch off screen here. Or I mean, I'm on screen, but I want to go to my iPad, and I'm going to see if I can quickly find that uh, that drawing because think I think I might be able to maybe. If I can quickly, I'll pull it up and show it and share it. And if not, oh, here we go. There we go. All right. I can show you that this was what had the last time I had dropping the phone on the list. It came out as adventurer dropping the phone, and this is what I drew. Uh, so whatever we draw this time is going to be different. And there's lots of ways to interpret this. So, but I really like how this one came out. So it stuck in my head. Okay, pull that back off screen. That was in episode 54, which is about a year ago, little more than a year ago. That happened. Some things just circle back on themselves like that. This time, however, pull it back up, and we're going to do a different version of Adventurer dropping their phone. That's our prompt. Let's figure it out. Now, what Michael said, um, drops the phone over a cliff. How many d6? Yeah, that was kind of that cast featherfall. Same thought. See, Michael, you're in the same headspace. It'd be funny if you could just have it automatically cast featherfall so it wouldn't get hurt when it fell off. All right, so adventurer dropping their cell phone. So far, you're seeing nothing as I'm staring at this and I'm waving my hand here. You can't even see that because it's off screen. This is a motion that a lot I've seen other cartoonists and artists do. And they don't know quite what to draw. They hold their drawing implement above the page and just do this, like it's going to magically shake out of the bottom part of the drawing implement into the tip, so it'll know to come out. uh, so here's one of the things I'm thinking is we could have someone in a fight, maybe with a monster that's trying to eat it, and dropping the cell phone again with a flip and a flop and a down goes the cell phone. Don't like that leg placement. That looks like you're running away from it. So now I'm looking up here. Uh, this is feeling like part of a "Can you hear me now" gag. So let's grab this and make it just a little smaller so we can do more with it. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that monster there. Sometimes figuring out these angles is the hard part, right? I know that we've got a body that's doing this, an arm that's coming out here. Now, when the monster coming in, we want it like that. Problem right now is we've got the weapon coming off this way, which plays with the body going this way, but doesn't really make it easy for the monster. He said, wondering about how to address this particular issue in a quick, sketchy kind of way. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have a mouth coming off like that. All right. Do you see it? I see it. But the phone now is in a bad place. The phone now is falling out of the into the middle of the by falling in here, the phone was going to get lost in what was going on with the rest of this. So I wanted to move the phone over to the side where it can stand out on its own. Hello, surreptitious. Welcome, welcome. We are drawing an adventurer dropping their phone. I'm not quite sure what he's going to be saying about this. I mean, like I said, it feels a little bit like a "Can you hear me now" thing, but that's not necessarily what he needs to be saying. Let's go to the lines layer and start dropping some lines on this. And as will often be the case, I do like to start with the eyes. In a gelatinous cube. There's another. Well, now we know what to do the next time this comes up. The other thing you missed earlier, just a couple minutes earlier, is that uh, this is the second time the prompt adventurer dropping their phone has been randomly generated. It's the only time dropping the phone. It's the only two times dropping the phone has been a prompt on the show, but both of the times, adventurer dropping the phone is what the dice have ordered. As you may hear me say fairly often, sometimes the best way to tell that something's random is that it really doesn't look very random. Randomization, uh, randomization works like that. If true randomization will produce a lot of things that don't look especially random. Okay. Now let's get back to this monster here for a second. I'm not quite sure what this is. It's got a little bit of a mimicky feel just because of the giant maw, but it's not what I'm really going for necessarily. Necessarily. I was definitely going for some kind of serpent slash uh, draconian, as in dragon like, not as in Dragonlance draconian. Maybe we'll give him a horn on his nose just to make sure he doesn't look too much like a mimic. Got a little sloppy there. That would have been good as a sketch, but not as a finished line. Eye thing I've got going on is a little weird, but I like it. Okay, let's do it. Let's turn off the sketch layer and see how that looks. Yeah, that eye thing is just looking weird. And it could be that he's was using it to pull up a website that how to defeat this thing. Could be he was calling in the monster helpline. All kinds of things that could have been going on the phone before he dropped it. Okay, I think we need to just add that, and we are ready to put some colors on this. Or I am, and that's all we really need. Kind of like a bay here without the horns. Yeah, a little. It's certainly in that family. Okay, so we'll go to the colors layer. We'll come back to our gloaming brush. Start with the fleshy flesh tone areas because there aren't a lot of those. There he is. I'm going to do my 3-tone armor trick again, which is to say I'm going to pick 3 related colors of blue gray, and I'm going to apply them so that things that are of similar hardness will get the same tone. Or that's the basic idea. No. The shoulder greaves, the knee pads, the belt, they all get the same. So there we've got is the armor, the chest plate, and the hard part of the hand of the gauntlets, the part that protects the back of the hand and the palm, are the same color. The flexible areas, the fingers and the arms and the legs, get that darker color, and that darker bluer blue for the greaves and the belt and the knee, uh, the knees. And then I think I'm going to use a soft tan for around the gloves and the leathery part of the gloves and the boots. What do I want to do here? Well, we're going to need to get the phone. And the creature. like so. Uh, much lighter green for the underbelly. Thinking about going yellowy, but decided against that. We'll stay with an all green theme. We'll take a slightly off yellow to make the teeth in the horn seem a little dirtier. I don't know. What do you think about? I'm gonna put some slight shading on this, but meanwhile, why don't you guys think about what maybe we want to do um, for what's being said? I kind of danced around it a little at the beginning, but never came back to it. So, is this a "Can you hear me now" gag? Is there something else? What do you think? What are you thinking? I'm really not sure at the moment. I don't have a great. I don't have a great idea. I don't even have a slightly pressing idea, other than my initial one, which I'll tell you, which I do think is probably not the best idea. But maybe it's the best for now. And we're doing these. We do these as fun, kind of quick drawings, which means that sometimes you just take your first idea and you put it down, come back to it later, and have an inspiration. Look at it the second time and say, "Oh, I know exactly what the. How could I have not thought of it before?" That kind of thing happened to me earlier today. I do the New York Times word puzzles, crossword and the Wordle, and they have got a couple of others. They've got a thing called the spelling bee, where it's an anagram puzzle, and I'd taken my first pass at it and still had a significant way to go. I said, I know there've got to be a couple of other words that are just eluding me that I should see, and I put it down and I did something else for about 25 minutes, and I picked it up and immediately saw the words that I couldn't think of previously. Like they were just sitting there. I'm like, how could I have not seen that? So this kind of puzzle, and creating comics like this, creating gags like this, really is kind of a puzzle. Um, At least, I mean, I've always treated it that way. As when I'm doing it, even for my work, I treat it like I'm trying to find the joke that's there. It's there. It's already there. I just need to find it. But sometimes the best way to do that um, is to just accept the one that's not good enough, let it sit there for a while, and then come back later, and you'll see the better choice that seems so obvious now, but you couldn't get to it in the moment. Let's see what we got here. 911. What's the nature of your emergency? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. They're saying they say texting while slaying dragons is the most dangerous way to adventure. Yeah, don't never text while slaying. Hello, Perry. Well, I'm glad you didn't miss a stream. There's still, in fact, you're still here with a one whole drawing to go. We're finishing up this second one by trying to figure out uh, what we're gonna put there. Uh, you know what? I tell you what, Michael. I like your first one best. I like the please state your nature of your emergency. It's kind of a little. Uh, it's a little weird from the perspective of I'll have to put a word balloon here that points all the way down there. So I mean, there's one where if I were to redo this for the for usage, and I wanted to use that gag, I would have the phone be flipping up here rather than down where it is. But blah, small price to pay here. Let's switch back. Inking. Studio pen. Here we go. Okay. 911. Let's grab that and move it. I'm already seeing that this is a bad placement for that. Alright, once again, we're going to grab that whole thing and move it a little. Beauties. I'm going to make it smaller, first of all. Move it a little here so I can. It's funny. I suppose, really, the other thing I'd want to fix about this. Now, I'm going to start taking it apart. It, if if I was to do this to finish it up, the first thing I'd do is move the phone up to this area. The second thing I'd do is I'd switch the fighter so that he wasn't paying attention to the phone. So I'd instead kind of have him looking over here, and his mouth would be closed, so there wouldn't be any confusion about uh, what any expectation that he would be saying something. But having said all that, I like this. What we do need to do is put some extra motion blur lines around the hand from bobbling the phone. But overall, you can tell I'm pleased because we're going to come into the corner here and put down a little stand, and I think we got it. We've got an adventurer dropping their phone for sure. Well done, people. Well done. Ay, ay, ay. I don't know why I'm tired. I've had a pretty chill day. I had lunch with a friend of mine. I've been working on a manga rewriting localization project this afternoon, so it's not like I've been working hard physically or even hard drawing wise. I've been taking text that has already been translated and making it better. I said dungeon help. There's a concept that's worth playing with, of as a in a some kind of uh, comic, or ongoing comic, or animation, that there is a dungeon helpline that you can call in. Please take a picture of the creature you're facing. Please be sure to include some background elements for scale. Ay ay ay. Okay. Have a sip of that. Come back to my drawing here, and we're going to reset it one more time. Turn off round 2 and turn on round 3. Turn back on our encounter tables. Yep. Okay. I'm ready. You ready? Let's do this thing, and then we can wrap it up and get ready for the weekend. We had an adventurer dropping their phone. We had an elemental barfly. Let's see what the dice want us to draw next. So we'll come back over to the dice, and we'll roll them around for a while and get a 3 and an 8. A 3 and an 8. So a 3 is an Umber Hulk, and an 8 is grilling burgers. Umber Hulk grilling burgers. Huh. We were just talking a little earlier about how randomness is not always random. It's been 3 weeks since I made the change to this D10 tables instead of D6 tables, and the white die has given us a result of 3 on each of the weeks. So it's of 9 results, a third of them have been 3, which doesn't feel very random. But as we were talking about earlier, that's one of the ways to show that it is. That kind of proves that it's random. So 3, we're going to Umber Hulk grilling burgers. Oh, let me see what's going on here in the chat. Michael says you're trying to, the Butterball Turkey Hotline. Yes, I did get that. I didn't say it. I got that as a sub reference for that Mind Flayer sandwich. Caldwell Press made shorts lately about the Margrave Forestry Service Rangers responding to some of the threats in their old Margrave book. Did they? Have they? Wait, time out. Kobold has been doing that? They've been doing comics or posting? I have to go to their website. I know Jeff Grubb, the guy who's running, or Jeff Quick, the guy who's running a lot of the websitey stuff. I'll have to go check that out, because I've been pitching them on doing some humor-based material, and if they're doing stuff like that, and it's in a vein of the kinds of things that I do, well, I'm gonna go and whine at them. There's a world of cartoonists out there, and they are friends with many of them. There's no reason why they need to come to me. Why I have no guarantee of first right of refusal. But God damn it, I want to do it. From Kendo, their community manager. Okay. Oh, YouTube Shorts. That's completely different. All right, great. That sounds like fun. I have to check that out. Oh, yeah, and I mean, I've met Kendo. I don't really know Kendo well. Uh, and anyway, if it's animation, then they should definitely not come to me because that's not something I do, or I've only done a couple of times and not well. All right, here we go. Enough talking, enough chatting, enough of me whining. No more whining. Let's do some drawing. Umber Hulk grilling burgers. Turn off the uh, encounter tables. Turn on the blue ink. And I love Umber Hulks. I love Umber Hulks. They're among my favorite creatures. So, kind of feel like I've had something like this before too. And on the, uh, I guess that the longer that I do uh, this show or something like it, the fact that I do tend to reuse the same creatures because they are the uh, best known and the funniest and the ones I like to draw the most, the more likely I'll have things like this, like what we had today, where stuff just repeats. For those of you who tuned in late, we had the adventurers uh, dropping the phone was quite literally a repeat of another randomly generated prompt from about a year ago. I do like that. I talked about this before. Everyone who's been involved in gaming for any length of time through several editions or several companies publishing similar materials will have their favorite versions of monsters, their favorite artists' take on dragons, or uh, um, there are variations on Umber Hulks and just about all the creatures. Everyone will have their favorite versions, and my favorite version of the Umber Hulk is definitely based on the third edition uh, Todd Lockwood and Sam Wood versions. I don't really have a gag. I don't have someone else in this, and there's not a lot of room for it. But we might could work something in if you guys have an idea or two. I saw someone posting about shish kebabs sounding good too. Okay, okay, here we go. I will start here. maybe one of the reasons I like Umber Hulks so much is that they remind me of in Japan, uh, particularly young boys, but kids of all ages of both genders, um, in the summertime will sometimes get rhinoceros beetles as pets and keep them in little terrariums. And I always thought that was very interesting. The Umber Hulk reminds me of those. This version of the Umber Hulk, in any way, reminds me. In any case, reminds me of those rhinoceros beetle pets. Let's get rid of that. I think I'm going to want to write something on the apron before I'm done, so I'm going to get rid of that crease that I had put there. I'm drawing this, and I'm thinking about those Margrave animateds that you were talking about, surreptitious, and I want to stop drawing and go find out what they are. They sound like fun. They sound like just the kind of thing that amuses me. I want to be amused too. I want to be in on the joke. I think I told you guys. In fact, I'm pretty sure I told you guys, talking about Kobold Press, that um, they've got a new card game coming out sometime this summer. It all depends on shipping. Uh, called Necromancer, and I did all the artwork for that game. They premiered it at their online Kobold Con uh, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and they've shown it at a couple of trade industry shows. And I know you can pre-order it now. Um, and speaking of my good friend Jeff Quick, he did the he did the lead design on the game, and it's a very fun, funny game. So y'all should check that out. They had a live play that weekend. Yes, I got to. That's the first time I got to see the game in play. They had mock-ups of the cards too, so that was fun for me. Okay, this is looking about right. But again, seeing there's room here for me to zoom out or to keep it the same and add something else in. I think I'll just zoom out. Let's take the sketch with us. And we'll do some coloring here. We'll switch over to the colors layer. Well, first we'll take out the sketch and see what's left here on the lines layer to fill out. There still was a bit of heavy lifting being done by that sketch. Don't confuse the cook. That's funny because Umber Hulks have confusion, uh, a, a confusion effect. Jokes are always funniest when you need to explain them. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Great. Let's go to the colors now. Go back to our gloaming brush. And I think this is mostly going to be a very brown creature, but are you spotting the same shapes within this shape that I am as you see me grabbing them in my color? Similar to what I did with the armor, I'm using hardness or flexibility as one of the decision making points in where I'm picking these colors, where I'm placing these colors. Creates a similarity, even if it's an unspoken one. Once you uh, look at it and you realize that they share a common trait, then it becomes something that your brain will continue to play with, even if you don't tell it to. Okay. Let's see here. Ooh, that's not looking good. Should be on top of everything else. Be purposeful when you add your colors in. Don't. It's a kind of a sub rule on the shape within a shape. If this is your shape, if this triangle is your shape, don't don't go across it in a way that is conflicts with that. Right? If I color this triangle like that, now I've broken the lines to begin with, but it's not as effective as if I color it like that, like the triangle. If I do the same shape with a different with a conflicting line, it it undercuts the usefulness of the whole shape within a shape. You're trying to spread information secretively. A little darker than that. There we go. And the other brown, we'll grab a slightly darker version of that. Just to put a little bit, and a little darker than that too. Little bit of shading, highlighting on there. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. What about you? Shouldn't it be burnt umber? Oh, 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 oh. Ah. No, you, you got to be careful when you let the umber Hulk doing the be the cook the burgers. I'm trying to find the right way to express that thought. Sorry. Yes, Michael, that's a good joke. Burnt umber. You got to be careful when he's cooking the barbecue, otherwise you wind up with burnt umber. That's your joke. All right, I think that's done. I think we're done now. You can count that as your punishment or your reward for coming up with such good jokes. I'm done now. We've got ourselves an Umber Hulk grilling burgers. Done. Um, what do I want to tell you about? A Father's Day joke. If we come up with this, to, I suppose, yeah, I could put this together and then put it out on Father's Day in a more polished format. If I thought about it even earlier, I might have been able to do Father's Day Umber Hulk barbecue stickers. I like stickers. Um, have I mentioned today that I've got that you can buy my stickers over at stickersbystand.com? Stickers that are sometimes based on drawings we do here. In fact, the two featured stickers right now are based off drawings done on the Random Encounter show. If you go over to stickersbystand.com and check it out, you'll see. Last weekend I was at didn't want to do that. I was at an event here in the Seattle area called the Kent Nerd Party. And while I was there, I was selling some of the stickers as well as some of my other uh, books that I've had printed over the years, self published over the years. Um, it was a lot of fun. I didn't make a lot of money, but I had a nice afternoon saying hi to nerds from all over the South King County area. Yeah, okay. So I talked about my stickers by Stan. Anything else? Oh, I was going to tell you, I want to tell you guys that tomorrow night, Friday evening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, so about half an hour later than my usual start, I'm going to be a guest on the Friday Night Live show for a convention that I'm going to be at next January, and it's called PAGE, or PAGE, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, and I'm going to be a guest. I'm going to be a guest at the show, and I'm going to be a guest on their live stream show tomorrow night. So if you haven't got enough of me yet, you can get some more tomorrow night. Hello, Owen KC Stevens. Thank you for showing up. Good to see you, my friend. Um, you're here just in time for me to do a couple of plugs and a wrap up. I don't know that that's worth your time, but that's what you got. So yes, tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. I will be on the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo page, their live stream show. So check it out. That should be, I don't know, fun. Okay, I have another sip of my soda here. We'll do an outro and we can wrap it up. Umber Hope, Umber Hope, bo, 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 bo. Umber Hulk Grill and Burgers. That was our third uh, prompt tonight. Our second prompt had been adventurer dropping their phone, and our first prompt tonight was elemental barfly. That's what we did here on this Thursday evening. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time. Got to hang out with Michael in chat and Surreptitious, and Owen Casey Stevens kind of showed up here at the end, and to round out the affair. Perry Caldwell was here. Chris Andrew was here. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of cool cats. And, there were a lot of really good suggestions from folks in the chat tonight. So I want to particularly call you out and say, well done, folks. Well done. Um, Owen says, do you like your burgers medium, rare, or underdark? Well, Owen, you should have been here 20 minutes ago. Oh, well. I always, we talk about it. I let these ideas percolate, and occasionally I then revisit them and draw a more polished version for publication as a cartoon or as a sticker, which we also were just talking about a couple of minutes ago. If you hadn't seen that, go back a few minutes. Just hit the rewind on the video. If you are watching this, though, you probably watched all your way through it, and I'm telling you something you know. I, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a bad host. No, I'm not. I'm a good host. But I'm a host who's about to say goodbye. I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Always good to hang out with y'all. I hope you had fun tonight. I know I sure did. And I want to continue to encourage you to grab some paper or your favorite electronic drawing implement or a, a crayon and the back of an envelope and just draw, draw for the fun of it. And then come back next week and join us for another episode of Random Encounters. I'll be back then. I hope you will be too. Until then, take care, everyone. Bye.